In June 2013, Taranis was organized by the Salzburg regional branch of the Austrian Red Cross. 7 countries and around 1,700 personnel participated. Module and EU CPT concepts in Europe were tested in very realistic scenarios, created by regional rescue organizations, fire brigades and the Austrian Army, with a comprehensive and consistent evaluation program from which the European Commission expects to improve the efficiency of the EU mechanism and the host nation support. A creative observation program using the latest technologies, like for example live pictures from webcams, police helicopters and drones, and a VIP session put the exercise in the spotlight of the Austrian media, showing also the decision makers in Europe what can be done on the field. An extraordinary social event in the end contributed to reinforce links and motivation of all the actors. A landslide has buried several vehicles, including a coach and a lorry carrying hazardous material. The rising level of the nearby Salzburg river increases the pressure on the units involved as time is running out. A heavy urban search and rescue unit from the Netherlands provides help to the local firefighters, rescuing trapped people from vehicles and covering first aid, until the Red Cross takes over the treatment and transport of the injured people to the advanced medical post. A landslide in Fürstenbrunn has caused several buildings to collapse. Attempts to make contact with the residential area have failed. People who wanted to fetch help have fallen into the gorge. Local mountain rescue units are dispatched and prepared to recover the injured from unapproachable areas, while urban search and rescue is taking care of on-site first aid and transport to the Red Cross ambulances downhill. They also provide man-trailing dogs for the search of buried people. Search and rescue robots are in charge of search for missing and buried people in extremely hard-to-access areas. Due to rising groundwater levels, water from a dredging lake in Valls has to be pumped out in order to avoid flooding of a nearby residential area. The Czech high-capacity pumping team is called in and guided to the site to help out with some specialized heavy pump. In cooperation with local units providing them a crane, the pump is positioned and roars into life. A warehouse located at the Ginski-Platz in Salzburg has collapsed due to rising groundwater levels, burying dozens of people. Medium urban search and rescue teams from Austria and Bulgaria are requested on site. To make things worse, ethanoic acids and chlorine compounds have been released, requiring hazardous material teams to discover contamination and rescue injured and contaminated people. Patient decontamination is carried out by the Red Cross units, while the urban search and rescue team and the search and rescue unit for Vorarlberg take care of locating and recovering buried people. Medical treatment and transfer to the advanced medical post is covered by the Red Cross ambulances. While rescuing isolated flood victims from the opposite lakeside, the engines of the excursion boat burst into flames due to overheating. Panic starts to rise among the passengers, causing some of them to jump overboard into 14 degrees cold water. Lifeguards are dispatched via helicopters, and local firefighters are brought aboard to extinguish the fire. Flood rescue teams from Croatia, the Netherlands and Austria evacuate the boat while the fire is brought under control, but leaving the boat powerless and unable to maneuver. It will be towed away by its operators to their shipyard. Heavy rainfall has caused subsurface erosion under the railway tracks, which has caused a passenger train to derail. A freight train carrying hazardous material crashes into it. The carriages have slid down a banking and passengers are trapped in the wreckage. Hazardous substances leaking from the tank wagons endanger passengers and rescuers. Local Operational Command supervises workspace allocation for all involved units. Heavy urban search and rescue teams from the Netherlands and medium search and rescue teams from Bulgaria operate with local firefighters to work their way through to the trapped passengers and get them recovered. Patient decontamination is carried out by teams from the Austrian Army and the Red Cross of Bavaria. First aid and transport to the advanced medical post is provided by the Red Cross, supported by 2 Army helicopters and 1 Red Cross helicopter. Structural defects have caused the partial collapse of some buildings in Ignaz-Harrer-Straße in Salzburg. Several people have been buried and are trapped under the debris, requiring rescue by the Search and Rescue Unit Vorarlberg and the Heavy Urban Search and Rescue Team of the Netherlands and from Salzburg, together with local firefighters. Deployment of heavy equipment, highly sophisticated tracking devices, and of course man-trailing dogs ensure fast and reliable search for buried and trapped people. After being rescued and given first aid by the search and rescue teams, Red Cross takes over further treatment and transport to the advanced medical post. A catastrophic engine failure aboard the excursion boat Amadeus leaves the boat powerless and unable to maneuver on the fast-drifting Salzach River. To prevent the boat from being carried away by the strong current drift, anchors are dropped immediately. As they veer out, a strong yank pulls through the boat, causing several passengers to be injured. Flood rescue teams from Croatia, the Netherlands and Austria are dispatched and start evacuation of the passengers. On the riverside, Red Cross is in charge of giving first aid and providing transport of the injured to the advanced medical post. While an articulated lorry is being loaded with hazardous cargo, the loading dock gives way due to structural damage caused by the previous flood, leading the lorry to plummet and crashing into the building. Various acids are released from the barrels that contaminate the factory workers and the surrounding area. Hazmat teams from Bulgaria arrive to determine the contamination, allowing CBRN teams in protective suits to rescue the injured, while heavy user teams from the Netherlands and Austria and Romania cut their way through to trapped people under the collapsed building. Firefighters take care of decontamination and Red Cross is providing on-site first aid and transport to the AMP. On a nearby tower, 2 trapped workers need to be rescued by high-angle rescuers. One of them is severely injured, making the evacuation more difficult. Due to subsurface erosion, a section of a main road in Hallein subsides. Vehicles collide and crash into the Salzach River. Search and rescue unit Vorarlberg teams recover trapped victims from the wreckages and prevent them to plummet into the river. Red Cross provides first aid treatment and transport. The water rescue units from the Netherlands and Croatia are in charge to recover victims which have fallen into the Salzach River and are drifting away. In cooperation with local firefighters and the search and rescue unit Vorarlberg, they are successfully dispatched. A transport plane is forced to land due to smoke on board. The aircraft centrifuged and collided while landing with a passenger bus. There is an increased risk of fire. Medical treatment is supported by Emergency Rescue Service of Romania and the Red Cross of Bavaria. For all participants, it was a great honor that EU Commissioner Kristalina Georgieva and the Austrian Minister of Interior, Johanna Mikl-Leitner, were personally present at EU Taranis 2013. They visited not only the exercise scenario train accident, but also the ex-con, the base of operation and the technologically advanced observation room, which was first established in this form in an exercise. Both congratulated the exercise director and his team, as well as all the participants to the great achievements, which allows valuable experience and progress for European cooperation in civil protection.